Hey, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Knock na waha I bar inshallah. We the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shad. I preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, Israelite foreigners. Nachamatam Kaya Hamalakwa Hashemayim Kurah. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. First and foremost, before we get started, I'm going to say, Call Halayim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah Bahasham, Chakadash. A double honor to the elders and apostles of great millstone that taught us the truth and rule well. And much respect to you, brothers out there, pushing this truth with our righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
We can go ahead and get straight into it, because we're in a time of war. The wars, rumors of wars, what's going to happen at the end of those wars. All right, WW3. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be nuclear destruction for America, Babylon the Great, in various different parts to where these Edomites are, you know.
That's right. Uh, Now we got this article out for RT News. It reads, "Nuclear war is inevitable." And before I get this, I want to get this word for inevitable here in the Free
All right.
Dictionary. It says, impossible to avoid or prevent, certain to happen. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
we understand, through prophecy that these things are going to happen and these things must happen, man. Right.
Yep.
So as it's the spirit that's on these people to let the world know that this nuclear Armageddon, all these situations that are ultimately going to lead to the destruction of Babylon the Great, as known as America, and all these things are destined to happen, and they're unavoidable, man.
Mm-hmm. Come, we go
Now,
ahead and jump to the article.
okay. So this is the article off RT News. It reads, "Nuclear war is inevitable. North Korea. The U.S. should abandon its hostile policy if it is truly interested in dialogue," Pyongyang believes. It reads, "The world is just a step away from nuclear conflict," North
Mm-hmm.
Korean Defense Minister Kang Shum-yam warned in a statement made public on Tuesday and
Con, it
presented.
said, it's a lot. It said, if the U.S. is interested in dialogue, so pretty much, if the U.S. was interested in diplomacy, which that's not going to do anything, it's just going to prolong, uh, it's going to so-called prolong, whatever enterprise they got going on, because
Right.
like the article says, it's inevitable. Nuclear war is going to happen.
Because America is not interested in diplomatic relations, man.
Mm-hmm.
They want these nations to bow their knee pretty much, man. And that's why we're seeing the division between, nations that are going after Russia and nations that are following Babylon. Continuing on, it reads, so like, yeah. It says the world is just a step away from nuclear conflict. North Korean Defense Minister warns on in a statement made public on Tuesday, presented at the Moscow International Security Conference. The official blamed Washington's desire for regime change in Pyongyang for ratcheting up tensions. He also accused the U.S. of increasing its military presence in the region by deploying nuclear capable aircraft and a submarine to the area. It says, now, the question is not if a nuclear war breaks out on the Korean Peninsula, but who starts it and when, Kang warned. In this year alone, the U.S. sent massive strategic arms to the region, including a nuclear capable submarine, an aircraft carrier group, and a nuclear capable bomber, he added. But see, that's that red horse, man, taking peace from the world, right? That's what we're seeing. Esau Edom is flexing their muscle right now to try to make these other nations, cowtail and ultimately come under their their wing or their so-called protection, man, because they see everyone else is mounting up against them, right? A lot of these nations are turning against the whore, as prophesied.
I got a quick one because it
Uh,
said if not it said it isn't if but when. So this is
mhm.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. And that's pretty much the job of a watchman, you know. So
Okay.
the job of a watchman, telling Jake what happens before it happens, so that Jake has the opportunity to repent. So he doesn't have to take part in that second death. Verse 3 to point. It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come; it will not tarry." Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is going into the specific prophecies you see, but I want to apply this to the nukes, because it has a specific time that's going to happen. So that's why um, it's a spirit that they said not if but when. Because it's going to happen. I got another
Mm-hmm.
precept. This is Isaiah 34:16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth, for my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." So every specific prophecy in the scriptures is going to happen. You see?
God, and nuclear war, nuclear Armageddon is a key prophecy, that's destined to happen, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm gonna get this real quick in Jeremiah 50 and starting in verse 9. It reads, "For lo, I will raise up and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country." Right now, Russia being that north country, but the assembly of the nations is all the nations that are tagging alongside them, man. That are making themselves allies with Russia, right? And it shall set themselves in array against her, right? So they're in battle formation right now. They're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about this in the mainstream media. So like it. But all these nations are pretty much preparing for that nuclear war. All these nations are setting themselves in, pointing their missiles towards their enemies, man. And ultimately, even the NATO nations are going to turn against Babylon, man. Once this World War III starts to kick off, they're going to see that they're losing, losing this war, and they're going to try to save face by ultimately destroying this whore, man.
If I could add too, pretty much like you said, they're setting themselves up in an advantageous position. A position
Mm-hmm.
that will allow them to go on the offensive. For example, like you got places like China and Cuba. You got
Yep.
China like the Virgin Islands, islands like that. You got if you go over to the west, over in Alaska, in the Bering Strait, Russia and the U.S. is like 2 miles away from each other. So these nations are already putting themselves to where they can like shoot nukes on this place. They got different missiles that can reach U.S. soil in like 15 minutes. It would make sense too, because being that Russia is like 2 miles from the U.S.
God, God, continuing on. It reads, I'll start from the top. For lo, Jeremiah 50 and 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert, man. Those arrows going into those nuclear missiles, man.
Mm-hmm.
That nuclear holocaust, that nuclear, that nuclear rain that is about to come down upon this place, right? Those are the arrows. It says, shall be of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So this, as it read, it's inevitable, man. It's unavoidable, right? At this point, that ball has started rolling down the hill, and that snowball effect is only gonna keep growing and growing and growing until the ultimate annihilation of this place, man. You know, this is Let me read this in the NLT. It says, so like, let me scroll back down. And so, for I am raising up an army of great nations from the north. They will join forces to attack Babylon, and she will be captured. The enemy's arrows will go straight to the mark. They will not miss, man. So as we're seeing, the enemies of America are starting to, mount up, right? They're starting to what's the word? Show their force, right? Because they're tired of being bullied. They're tired of getting pushed around, right? As the scriptures talk about, they will turn their plowshares into swords, man. So all these nations are that were once agricultural in nature are starting to put these nuclear arsenals together to fight against this bully, right? And they will not miss. Those arrows are going to go forth, right? And it's an inevitability that this place is going to be struck with that nuclear fire, that besom of destruction.
Con. We keep going into the article.
God, continuing on. Slovakia. It reads, The U.S. Navy's Carrier Strike Group 11, led by its flagship, the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz, arrived at a South Korean military port in late March, soon after Pyongyang unveiled its new smaller nuclear warheads, which can supposedly be mounted on short-range ballistic missiles. In late June, a US B-52 strategic bomber took part in the joint drills with South Korea. Just 2 weeks later, America also deployed its Ohio classic ballistic missile submarine, the USS Kentucky, to South Korea, armed with 20 Trident II ballistic missiles, and the undersea vessel carries a total of 80 nuclear warheads. It reads, the U.S., which has been waging a hostile state policy against North Korea for 80 years, blatantly interferes with the independent development and security interests of the North and pushes the situation in northeastern Asia to the brink of a nuclear war, Kang said. And look, as we see, these nations are getting tired of Babylon the Great, man. Right? These nations are, they're sick of the whore. Right? When the scriptures talk about the nations are mad, they see the destruction that's caused by the proliferation of these philosophies that America teaches and pushes and forces, really. So now they're mounting up to fight back,
I got a quick precept because pretty much, like I was going into, it's a show of force, you see, but being that they're showing force, you're not just going to keep throwing feints and throwing fakes until somebody else catches your bluff, So this is Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 9. It says, son of man. So I said, son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord. Say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Shall we then make mirth? It contamineth the rod of my son as every tree. And he hath given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. We see that. So that sword going into the nukes. It's not just going to be a constant flex of the muscle. It's not going to be a constant show of force. Because eventually, these nations are going to catch their bluff. Somebody's going to make a move. And then they're going to be forced to make a move on that. To retaliate pretty much, and it's going to turn into all-out war.
That's right. And we keep going in that article. It reads, we are all aware of the fact that it says, Kang also declared that the North Korea would no longer consider U.S. drill suspensions or other similar steps to be genuine manifestations of goodwill by the U.S., right? Because it's always malicious intent behind everything, the United States pushes, man. They say peace, but war is in their hearts, man. The scriptures talk about, their words are smooth as oil, right? It says Washington would need mere days to send its strategic bombers and a nuclear submarine back to the peninsula and can redeploy its military contingent there in half a month, even if it fully withdraws from South Korea, the general believes. We are well aware of the fact that the aggressive intention of the U.S. to strip us of our nuclear weapons and destroy our system, though brute force cannot be changed even in the slightest, he said. It says the general's words came just days after the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered heightened preparations for war, including increasing the production of weapons. He also called for top officers to carry out drills with the country's latest weaponry to ensure that troops were ready for a potential conflict. The move was taken ahead of a planned major joint military exercise by the U.S. and South Korea.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the sword chiefly going into the nukes, you see, but then also the power behind the nukes, you see, because if you look at it was probably like a couple months ago, but pretty much I think it was North Korea, one of those Asian nations, they pretty much had like 1 million troops that just enlisted to destroy America, and that's what it said on like on the article, because they're going to be the ones that's pushing the buttons for, so you got troops, you got weapons, pretty much they're mounting up to go against America, Babylon the Great.
Yep. And that's that wars and rumors of wars, man. Right? It's continual war talk. It's continual war drums, beating throughout geopolitics, man. Right? We're one, so-called false flag away from a total global world war, man. Right? That's why everybody's walking on eggshells right now. It's all a bunch of pump faking and bloviating. Right? Everybody's trying to show what they have, but nobody's willing to push the button yet, man. Right? Because there hasn't been that major event to take place, and we still have prophecy that has to come to pass. Right? So we're seeing all these nations start to build themselves up for the eventual, unavoidable nuclear war, man. Real quick, this is Joel third chapter, and starting in verse 10, it reads, "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." Right. So these, once weaker agricultural-based nations, are building up their nuclear arsenals, man. As we read, Kim Jong Un was like, we gotta grow our production of weapons. Right. We gotta get our people trained on our newest weaponry because war is in the air, man. It says, "Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh, for there will I sit to judge the heathen round about." Right? Because we're seeing, World War III is going to take place in that Middle East region now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these things that we're seeing take place, the things between China and Russia and the United States, ultimately, they really won't hit the peak tensions until stuff sparks off in that Middle East, right? And that's why it talks about the weak of the weak of the flock will draw them out. Going into those Amalekites, uh, ultimately bringing America into that war, right? So when the things heat up down there, that's when all the nations are going to have to show their hand, right? And what side they sit on, man.
Mm-hmm. Was there any more left in the article?
That was it on the article.
Con. Could you get I get Joel. Could you get Isaiah 34 and 5 and 6? Let me get Joel first though. This is Joel chapter 2. Just laying backing off the precept you brought out. This is Joel 2 and verse. I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says a day. So I'm gonna start verse 1. It says, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand." The day of the Lord is coming. All right, it's near. It says, "A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations." Because pretty much, these Christians just say, hey, the day of the Lord is going to be, super light. It's going to be a good time. But what's prepared for this place is darkness. You see, and if you don't have the covering of the Lord, you're going to be destroyed. Verse 3: "A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, nothing shall escape them." Verse 4: "The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array." Verse 6, which this is going into the missiles, it says, "Before their face the people shall be much pain, all the faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks." Because going back to, it was Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, that you read, pretty much each missile is going to be guided with the spirit of the Lord, and it's not going to miss their intended target. Verse 8: "Neither shall one thrust another," because if you look at, the different, Esau got his different movies, and sometimes like it'll be two jets, they'll shoot they'll shoot a missile, and then one you see another heat got a missile and it'll hit it to like knock it down, but pretty much that's not gonna happen. It says,
Hey, even if I may add, you go into that movie X-Men Apocalypse, right? When all the missiles got shot off, and then out of nowhere, he loses control of the missiles, and they start bumping into each other and blowing up in the sky.
Mhm.
That's not gonna happen, man. Right? These missiles have intended targets that the
Right.
Lord is gonna guide them to, man.
That's just in Hollywood.
Right? Exactly.
Verse 8. Neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk everyone in his path, and when they shall fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Verse 9, it says, they shall run to and fro in the city. All right, and what city is it talking about? America, Babylon, and Greer, because this is one giant city. It says, they shall run upon the wall, they shall climb up upon the houses, they shall enter in at the windows like a thief. All right, and it says they shall run up the wall. When you look at a wall, you look at it for protection. Whatever so-called defense mechanism that America, Babylon, the Great has, it's going to go around that. Verse the latter part of verse 9, it says they shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Pretty much the earth is going to quake. It's going to cause an earthquake. You go to Isaiah 24:20. It talks about that the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. That's going to happen via the nukes.
Okay.
We get that
Okay.
Isaiah 34.
Okay. Now I'm gonna start in verse 1. That's cool.
Okay.
It's Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his
Because
fear.
when we go to Obadiah, that which chiefly that's going into Esau, but then also it talks about the other heathen because what they've done to the nation of Israel. The Lord has an indignation with these other nations, starting with Esau, Edom.
Sorry. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies.
Mm-hmm.
He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter.
Yep.
Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood.
Because the Lord said he wasn't going to say it in the next couple verses, but it said the places shall be filled with dead bodies, and then also the Lord said, when he comes back, he's coming back to wound the heads of many countries.
Mm-hmm. And that goes into those mountains, going into those governments, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So all the leaders of these nations, right? Every nation is gonna fall, man. Right? It says, and the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll.
Talking about that mushroom cloud.
Mm-hmm. And all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. And my sword shall be bathed in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment.
Mm-hmm. So like it mentions in Isaiah 63, the Lord, the Lord is coming back to destroy Idumea, you so-called white people, all right? And then these nukes is also going to hit the different various places that you have been scattered to, or that you're in rulership in.
Right. That's why the scriptures say I will have war with Amalek from generation to generation, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because this is the Lord finishing, finishing his word, man. He made that promise, right? And this is going to be the beginning of the end of the Edomites, man. It says, so like it, the story of the Lord is filled with blood, and made fat with the fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much, you Edomites, you're gonna be destroyed, and Jake and these heathen that's attached to this man's society is gonna be destroyed right along with it. Or Salah, more specifically, Jake is gonna be destroyed, attached to this man's society. All right, you heathen and you Edomites are gonna be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And that goes into that nuclear war being inevitable, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The word of the Lord is inevitable. Prophecy is inevitable. It's unescapable, right? It's unavoidable. These things are going to happen, man. Right? And we're the spiritual forecasters that the Lord has set up, to give this message to the people, so that you Israelites can repent, and so that these heathen, know what the judgment that's coming to them is about to entail, man.
Mm-hmm. I got one more. This is
Okay.
Isaiah 13 and verse 15. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Pretty much just going to the point, that we just made. 2/3 that don't want to arise ye and depart, repent and put off this man's darkness. You'll be destroyed right along with America, Babylon the Great.
That's right.
That's pretty much it. Nothing else though.
Con, let me get one more.
Con,
Gotta look it up.
because like Isaiah 34 and 16 went into, everything in the scriptures is going to happen. It has happened and it will happen. And that's pretty much the message. The message is to repent, believe the gospel. All right, because pretty much to reiterate, everything that's in the scriptures is going to happen.
God, just laying back on the point you just made. This Isaiah 55, and I'll start in verse 8. It reads, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." So the decrees of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is final, right? You can't void out his word. His word is gonna accomplish, what he spoke, what he set it out to do, man. Right? And that nuclear fire is a part of the Lord's word, right? The promise of nuclear war is a part of the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's a part of prophecy, right? So these things are going to come to pass.
Con.
But that was it.
Con, well, we pray that quick lesson was edifying. Go ahead and close it up by saying, "Call light and law, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Rakakwadash." More honors to the elders and apostles of great milestone that touch the truth and rule well. And much respect to you, brothers, that they are pushing the truth with our righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Yasharala and a Bible ball, man.
Baba ball.
Shalom.